On this edition of Tacoma Report, we'll take a tour of art studios in Tacoma, talk with Deputy Fire Chief Tory Green about preparing for emergencies, and learn about some safety measures you can take in the event of a power outage. Welcome to Tacoma Report. I'm ANITA Gallagher. Tacoma community members took advantage of a unique opportunity to see the spaces and tools that 57 local artists use to create their work. Those who attended this year's studio tours got to ask questions, purchase one-of-a-kind creations, and even try their hand at creating their own masterpieces. All studios featured demonstrations of the artistic process and had hands-on activities for visitors. Point Defiance Zoo and Aquarium and Northwest Trek Wildlife Park are celebrating Veterans Appreciation on November 11th and 12th. On these days, both locations are offering free admission to all individuals who are currently serving or have served in the U.S. military. All that's needed to enjoy a free day of family fun is to show an active military or veteran ID card or any other proof of U.S. military service. Immediate family members will also receive half-off general admission. Visit the Metro Parks Tacoma website for more information. It's that time of year to start preparing for fall and winter weather hazards. Extreme winter weather conditions can result in fallen trees and landslides. When this happens, it's important to know who to call for assistance. The City Street Operations Division will only remove landslides and sections of downed trees that are blocking streets or sidewalks. If this occurs, crews are available to respond to community emergencies 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. To find out more about the city's inclement weather response and what to do when a tree falls in the right-of-way, visit the city's website. Fallen trees can also cause power outages, and crews from Tacoma Power are ready to assist its customers. Tacoma Report's John Phillips provides some tips and information on a new tool to help ease customers through service interruptions.
Vehicle accidents and curious animals can cause isolated power outages anytime, but winter weather can snap trees and branches across power lines throughout the region, suddenly leaving thousands of customers without service.
We take care of the power lines from the dams all the way to customers' residents.
Crews from Tacoma Power's Transmission and Distribution Group are on the front line of getting the power back on. Their work starts before the foul weather hits.
We have planning meetings, we discuss the possibilities, we make sure that our trucks are stocked, that our crew members are notified, and that we have a plan in place depending on what kind of an event it would be.
Tacoma Power's Energy Control Center is the nerve center of restoration efforts, especially during a major outage.
There's actually a hierarchy. Our goal again is to pick up the most number of customers as quickly as possible and restore their power. To do that, we first do our transmission lines, then we take care of our distribution lines, then we'll take care of the power lines in the individual neighborhoods, and then ultimately the services to residences.
An orderly recovery of the power system relies heavily on customers calling in to report outage locations. It helps pinpoint where the problems are.
Once we start our outage restoration, we will work around the clock, rotating our crews until we get all the power restored.
Tacoma Power's website offers great information on how to prepare your family and keep them safe during a power outage. Regular updates on outage restoration are available on Facebook and Twitter. This year, there's a new online feature that provides a comprehensive overview of a power outage.
One of the new features is our outage map. That's a graphical representation of our service area, and it shows you where the outages are. It'll also give you information such as the number of customers affected by the outage, whether or not we've been able to determine the cause of the outage, and then possibly the estimated restoration time.
Tacoma Power is ready for storm season, and it encourages customers to do the same by assembling some emergency supplies, keeping mobile devices fully charged, and remembering 502-8602 to report outages. For Tacoma Report, I'm John Phillips.
You can access the new outage map and find information on staying safe and being ready for power outages on Tacoma Power's website. You can also find links to connect with them on Facebook and Twitter. After the break, Deputy Fire Chief Tory Green will join me to talk about more ways people can get prepared for emergencies. There's always a right time to make sure you and your loved ones are prepared in the event of an emergency. Joining me to talk about some ways we can stay safe is Tacoma Deputy Fire Chief Tory Green. Welcome, Chief Green.
Thank you.
So there's been a lot of talk in the news recently about a catastrophic earthquake impacting the Pacific Northwest. Is this a real concern?
Well, the short answer is yes. And the reason is because about 45 years ago, scientists discovered the Cascadia subduction zone, which is just relatively a few miles off the coast of Washington State, Alaska, British Columbia, Oregon, and Northern California. So it's a pretty long subduction zone. And that subduction zone is part of the Ring of Fire, which is the number of subduction zones around the Pacific Ocean. And as you know, we've seen a lot of earthquakes around the Pacific Ocean, but none here. And so, so the anticipation is that we are actually due for a major earthquake any day. In fact, scientists have researched and found that the Cascadia subduction zone, our subduction zone, moves about every approximately 250 years, and we're about 15 years beyond that. So, I'm sorry, 315 years into a 250-year cycle. So there's significant concern about when that's going to come and what the impact will be.
So what do you think people should be doing to prepare?
So that's a great question, and the big thing is to prepare now. A lot of people talk about preparedness, and when they hear about preparedness, they say, "Oh yeah, I should really do that," but then they just never do it. Well, now is the time to prepare. So if you've ever been thinking about getting prepared, now is the time. You know, we oftentimes hear emergency managers talk about getting prepared for 3 days. We are encouraging people to get ready for 7 days at least. And so think long term, think about taking care of yourself, think about the things that your family specifically needs, not just food, water, and an alternate place for shelter, but more importantly, things that are specific to your family, like medication, mobility issues, if you have a need for any type of battery-powered life assistance devices or pet concerns. All those things should be thought about. You should have a kit, an emergency kit, not only in your home, but also in your car and also at work, so that you're prepared no matter where you are.
And so what are city staff doing to prepare?
One of the things that not only city staff will be participating in, but in the multiple states that I mentioned, including Canada and Idaho, we're all preparing for a multi-state, multi-jurisdictional 4-day exercise in June of 2016, and it's called Cascadia Rising. And so it's a simulation of what would actually happen in damage assessment and the aftermath if we actually did have the Cascadia earthquake. And they're anticipating that being a 9.0 off the coast, and for the city of Tacoma, we're planning for about a 7.5. And so that's significant damage. And so we're working with city organizations, county organizations, state and federal, including the military, to kind of plan how we would respond to that incident. And then hopefully from this exercise, what we'll do is take lessons learned, we'll kind of fill the gaps and be better prepared as we move forward. The other thing that's probably most important as we move forward is I like to think of emergency preparedness, people getting prepared in 2 categories. There are people who can prepare, like you and I. We have the means and the ability, but in many cases just haven't. And then there are people who just cannot prepare because they don't have the means or the ability. And so for the people that can prepare, we're increasing our messaging. Shows like this, we're out in the community. In particular, just last weekend, we did a canvassing in the Lincoln area where we went around from door to door and helped people. Not only did we give them information on emergency management, but we also installed free smoke alarms, just to kind of help get them prepared for any type of a disaster. We'll be offering free seminars on emergency preparedness and getting people motivated to prepare if they're able. But for the people who can't, we've also given consideration to that. And so we're looking at ways that we can pre-stage things that people would need in a disaster. So we're looking at places where we can provide sheltering for people who are unable to provide that for themselves, or who don't have an alternate place to go. We're looking at pre-staging cots and food and water and power and communications in those locations so that people, again, are prepared across the different demographics in our community.
Well, that's great to hear. I'm glad that the city is taking necessary measures, and it sounds like you're out in front of this, so thank you for coming and sharing that with us today.
Thanks for having me.
Up next, we'll get some safety tips for cooking a Thanksgiving turkey. This holiday season, make it a goal to practice good food safety measures. If you decide to deep fry a turkey, make sure you keep your family and your home safe by using a fully thawed and dry turkey. Set up your fryer on flat, even ground, more than 10 feet away from your home, with children and pets far away. Never leave it unattended, monitor the temperature closely, and have a fire extinguisher ready at all times. You don't need anything but your dancing shoes to enjoy a holiday dance. Residents are invited to Hollywood by the Sea, the second annual holiday dance presented by the city's Historic Preservation Office. The event takes place at Titlow Lodge on Friday, November 13th, starting at 6 p.m. Attendees are encouraged to dress in their best old Hollywood attire as they enjoy the sounds of a big band and swing dance demonstrations. This event is free and open to the public with a suggested donation that will go to support next year's programming and events. You can find complete details about Hollywood by the Sea on the city's website. The written comment period on Tacoma Pierce County Health Department's proposed e-cigarette regulations ended recently, closing an extensive public input process. According to the health department, youth under 18 are using e-cigarettes in record numbers, even while much about e-cigarettes and their potential for harm remains unknown. And they aren't regulated like cigarettes. The proposed local regulations would prohibit use of vapor products in all public places and work sites, consistent with the Washington State Smoking in Public Places law. Youth under 18 would not be permitted to possess vapor products, and retailers would need an annual permit to sell them. The Board of Health plans to vote on this at its November 18th meeting. For more information about environmental health, check out Urban Green. The latest episode of Urban Green is now airing on TV Tacoma. This edition takes a look at the Center for Urban Water's green roof. Host Diane Wyatter talks with the Institute for Environmental Research and Education about life cycle communities. Residents will then explore a beginner's guide on how to care for urban chickens. And Happy Belly Restaurant discusses healthy food options that you can feel good about. To watch this episode or check local air times, visit the Urban Green webpage. Coming up next, we'll learn about how Tacoma Public Utilities is practicing worker safety. Sharing the latest safety concepts has played a vital role in creating a safer workplace in recent decades. That's what drew safety experts and people from various industries to Tacoma recently for the Washington State Governor's Industrial Safety and Health Conference. The annual gathering was also an opportunity for a little friendly competition among the state's power utilities. The Tacoma Power team members Joe Tabez and Ivan Welch were among the finalists competing in a pole-top rescue exercise. Teams from 8 public and private utilities competed in an exercise where they had to rescue an incapacitated crew member from a hazardous situation, then administer first aid. A key part of the competition looks at how well teams assess and avoid electrical hazards to prevent the rescuers from also being injured. The exercise offered some valuable safety lessons that teams can share with coworkers.
This scenario actually came from a real incident that took place down south in Washington State, where a lineman was injured cutting a hot tail off of a jumper. So we took something that actually happened in the field, we made an event of it so everybody could learn from that one mistake.
The electrical pole-top rescue competition has been going on for 42 years. This year, Tacoma Power's team took 4th place. Spokane-based Avista placed first. Permitting is a core function of the city's Planning and Development Services Department. In an effort to streamline this process, the city is relaunching the Tacoma permit system using a web-based permitting platform called Accela. This exciting new platform features permit application and payment processing online. The system will be available on the tacomapermits.org site and is set to launch later this year. For more information on the Tacoma Permits relaunch, visit their project webpage. The estimated number of people in Tacoma who are experiencing homelessness is severely underrepresentative of the number of people who are living on the street. Megan Snow has the story about a program that provides businesses a way to help.
The Positive Interactions program, which launched in 2014, provides outreach to people experiencing homelessness, as well as builds relationships with business owners and managers who often find people sleeping behind their stores.
We connect with the local businesses in Pierce County that have homeless congregation. What we do, we connect with the businesses and let them know that we have services available with those businesses that have a negative impact with homeless congregation. In reference to that, what we do, we attempt to reach out to the homeless individual or individuals and connect them with our services. We feel like it's been working really well in the community. We've been able to comply with the businesses along with the homeless individuals, so it's been working out really well.
The program proactively monitors and works to prevent incidences of blight in the community caused by encampments, while also helping people who need shelter or medical assistance.
For the most part, we've received a positive response from the homeless individual at various times. For whatever reason, it can be trying at times. Sometimes people are defensive and sometimes they don't want to comply. But we do whatever we can to do to communicate with that individual. And sometimes it takes 2 or 3 times in order for the process to work on certain individuals. But we're adamant in trying to help those.
The program, which is funded by the city, has seen success. So far, the program has reached out to more than 1,000 businesses since it began. For Tacoma Report, I'm Megan Snow.
The program is available 7 days a week in Tacoma. Well, that wraps up this installment of Tacoma Report. A great way to find out about the services the City of Tacoma has to offer is by going to cityoftacoma.org. Thanks for watching. I'm ANITA Gallagher.